morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile and Andy Serling as we kick off our first full week of the new year, and we kick it off with a bang with the Pick 5 carryover. We were talking about that, and it's funny because we were focused on the Pick 6, the mandatory payout, and that kept coming up, and didn't even occur to me, we were doing the show and I was on with Lafitte, that possibly a Pick 5 carryover, because it's so hard to get them. I mean, we had one the other day. It was the first one in almost a year, maybe.
Right.
And
was there one in Saratoga? See, I thought there was one in Saratoga, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe right before Saratoga at Belmont?
Listen, I don't think so, but anything's possible. And then when that absolutely impossible horse won the last race, and make no mistake, if you had Prince of Joy, God bless you.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
really.
but that's a very, 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 very hard horse to make any kind of actual case for in paper.
Maybe if your mom's name is Joy and you were her prince, that's how you found Prince of Joy.
Yes. If your name is Prince of Joy.
If my mother's name was Joy and not Phyllis, I would have scored out.
Yeah. No. You're lucky your mom's name is Phyllis, and there aren't a lot of Phyllis's running horses. So then I looked and see, I wonder what the Pick 5 paid, and I said, oh my gosh, this horse is a carryover. I hadn't even thought of it. So we got $189,000 in the Pick 5 carryover.
Tickets up?
That'll start, pick it up, that'll start in race number 4, so we'll talk about that sequence, and you'll head over to NYRA Bets, speaking of the ticket. You can check it out at NYRA Bets as well. Match 200, use promo code MATCH200, will match to $200 of your initial deposit. Play through NYRA Bets, support racing in New York. We had a Pick 5 sequence, $189,195, so just over $189,000. That'll start in race 5. That pool, have to imagine that pool will be over $1 million. We'll see how that plays out. Don't get a lot of Pick 5s. I know we've had 2 in a short period of time, but wouldn't be surprised we don't have another one in the entire year. It's very hard to get those carryovers. Anyhow, we also have a 10 times points to buy racing. It's tomorrow morning. Check that out at NYRA Bets. And no show today. I'll be doing some prattles between races, that's it. Let's get to work. Race number 1. I think race number 1.
Sloppy track, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sloppy track, by the way. I was a little surprised by that because, again, didn't really realize how much rain fell around here.
Yeah. No, I listen. I live in the city, but we may have had some rain last night. I was pretending to sleep throughout some of the night. But thank you. Yes, good point. And it looks like it's still sealed and sloppy. Whether or not, it starts drying out. And I don't think it's really sunny out, right? It's not supposed to be rain coming up. I don't think
it's just cloudy. Maybe some rain overnight tonight.
So not sure we'll ever really get past it being wet today. Hopefully by tomorrow it'll dry out. Your mission. We'll show your mission finishing second, 3 back in Saratoga. Your mission may win this race. I don't think anybody here is going to fall out of their chairs if this horse wins. But I'll tell you something. If you look up the pedigree of this horse, and obviously pedigrees don't mean a lot, the foals from this dam and the family, they just can't run in the dirt. They were mediocre turf horses that anytime they ran in the dirt, they didn't lift a hoof. And they're just going to throw this horse once in the turf. Dirt. And he may win. He's got a little bit of talent, not a lot. You saw he ran well enough there, and he may win. He certainly has not found a particularly good field, but I cannot take a horse like this that's even money just because.
He's just not very good, and he's kind of fallen along the lines of his lineage. These horses just are not very good.
And the other thing is,
he doesn't really have. I mean, he's a Noble Mission. We've seen the Noble Missions do okay on the dirt.
This is not a dirt horse.
This is not. This is just not a.
It's a negative dirt pedigree, and.
But he might be, for the lack of a better term, talented enough.
He might.
To handle these horses and go the 9 furlongs, which I think does come into play here a little bit. The fact that he's been a steady diet of 1 mile and a 16th and 1 mile and an 8th.
I hear you on all of that, and I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to be surprised when this horse wins.
Yeah.
But I think people have to realize that a lot of his ineffectual turf races, those 60-type figs, in a lot of ways, those are like 46 buyers on the dirt, and he has no pedigree that says he's supposed to be any good in the dirt. So I think there are alternatives, and you're going to Midnight Express, who, I agree, he's the most logical alternative, but he ain't exactly a killer either, and I wonder how much he wants the distance as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So he is the second likeliest winner. I will not disagree with that one bit.
And I would imagine, unless your horse is going, I would imagine...
Well, the 4 is in front. He's the speed. We'll get to
that. I guess he's going to go. He should be laid up right off of him.
Oh, yeah. No,
and, you know, you're going... I mean, the 9 furlongs going to play a role. I mean, you know, we joke around about this. I mean, this is going to be, you know, they're going to go 9 furlongs on 156 here.
I'll take the over.
You might be right.
No, I'll take the over. It'll be slower than 156.
Yeah. And I'm just hoping that he has enough forward position and can outlast, frankly, the rest of these horses.
Listen, I'm not going to argue. He is the second likeliest winner of this race. As far as Phoebe's Frosty, he's got to be in front. He is faster than these horses. And, you know, you look at his last race, he got engaged in what was a very fast relative pace. And all things considered, he didn't run that badly considering the kind of pace. He's now second off a little bit of a freshening. His race in Saratoga, going a mile, is good enough to be competitive and win this race if the 7 isn't a horse. And he's going to be a better price than the 2. I have no argument with the 2. I think the 2 and 4 are the 2 horses if you want to play against the 7. The 4 is just going to be a better price, and I would hope he's in front. Can't love anybody in here. You and I have the same opinion, which is you just don't feel comfortable picking a horse like the 7 on top.
Absolutely not.
And I don't think either one of us are going to be shocked when he wins, but he's going to win without either of us picking him in here.
Correct.
Race number 2, they're going 7 furlongs, and you know, I think one of the conversations in here is Vegas Weekend and what you do with a horse like that. You've got her on top. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if she can really run anymore.
Listen, the last thing I planned on doing today was coming up here and trying to defend this pick. She's the drop down. She's just run against better horses. You know, she's run against better horses, and her main competition, the horse you put on top of, she's the most logical winner, Melting Snow. She was able to control and just gallop home last time.
We'll get to Melting Snow.
It's not where did that race come from last time, but do you trust her, Melting Snow, to come back
We'll
and
get
run
to her in a
that?
second. I'll explain why I think she's going to win.
And
Vegas Weekend is who we're on now.
Yeah, I just want the horse that's faced much, much better. I think you have to talk about, I think when you're talking about Vegas Weekend, you kind of have to talk about the horse that's her main competition.
I think we'll talk about her. I want to finish Vegas Weekend. I'm happy to.
Well, there's nothing really, I mean, I don't know how much there really is to say. She's just run against so much better.
I'm happy to talk
here.
about her when you're done. It's fine.
I just think this, she's running against so much better in here. Now, she doesn't win. She hasn't won in over a year.
She was claimed for $32,000.
Yeah.
She ran poorly at 7-5. And now she's coming back 2 months later for $16,000. Those are negatives. Now, I understand we could say Mike Rapoli trying to win races. I don't think Mike's spending a lot of time thinking how much he wants to win a race at Aqueduct in January. He probably likes to win them as much as anybody, but I still, even knowing Mike and how crazy he is, even Mike would probably agree this one isn't first on his agenda.
Absolutely.
He's probably not thinking, whatever I'm doing today, I got to be on the front of the TV and make sure. Now, he's close, because he's as sick as any of us.
Rudy's not.
And I respect that. I say that with great respect, by the way. But this is a negative. A horse that's claimed for 32, runs badly, comes back 2 months later for half the price. Rudy, this is what I found interesting. In 5 years, Rudy has only been dropped a horse 50% or more off the claim 3 times.
Yeah, this is not a Rudy move.
It's not a Rudy move, and I don't.
More often than not, you see this the other way. You see Linda taking him from Rudy and going and dropping him down.
I think that the 2 is significantly better, and it's not what the 2 did last time that means that much to me. But if you look at the race 2 back, 3 back, and 4 back, they're all better, even in the decent races that the Vegas Weekend has run. And you say, well, what about 2 back? And she ran for 10 last time. Well, I want to look at 2 back. And I would have told Linda, you're crazy to run this horse this cheaply 2 back last time off what happened 2 back. Now, maybe the horse has some physical issues. They all do. This horse is raced 2 back. This horse got kind of a ridiculous ride in there. Had some legitimate trouble at the start, but this horse went down to the rail, and the rail was not the place to be this day. This was a bad rail, and this horse went right down there. And I thought that Melting Snow, even though she finished behind Veradia, actually had a legitimate excuse because of where she went to on the racetrack. So I think her last race isn't that surprising. I think you can make excuses for her race 2 back, and that's why I prefer over Veradia, and that's why I'm not worried about Vegas Weekend. I'm not going to be shocked if Vegas Weekend wins, but I think Melting Snow, the race last time, and 3 back and 4 back are the fair indications of her ability, not the lousy trip she had 2 back.
Okay.
So
hard to see anybody else winning this race.
Well, I guess Veradia could win. I mean, it's not impossible.
Guess.
Well, it's not impossible. She's dropping back to levels she was claimed from. Jeffrey Englehart wins a lot of races here.
She ran bad last time.
She did.
Andy.
She did, but they were better horses. And, you know, I don't like her either.
She ran bad for a guy that she's run well for in the past.
Well, the problem I have is that I don't believe she ran better than Melting Snow did 2 back, even though she beat her. So I think Melting Snow will probably beat her. We'll see what happens. I went 2-5, so obviously I don't particularly disagree with you. race number 3. Race number 3 is a funny race. And I think the first thing to discuss is motion to strike, and we'll show motion to strike's last race. He is the controlling speed in this race, but this is a completely different crew than he met last time, with all due respect. Ain't no Majestic Tigers in here.
Yeah, and he's the controlling speed, but at the very least, a Caltech has some speed and can be forward to keep him company a little bit. And like you said, just the overall quality of this field is, it's light years different. Last year was last year. Well, yes, last year. Last year and last time.
Nate, he hasn't run a good race since I had hair in
That
my
was
head.
that was a group of beaten claimers. But that was a low-level group of beaten claimers, and now he's running
That was the
against
beaten claimers that have been there for eternity.
They've been there for a while, and now he's running against horses that,
He's the speed, though. And
he's the speed.
I don't think he could be completely dismissed, but I think he gets a lot of attention off of that race being the speed. And the other thing is, the horse that he has to worry about the most, and the horse the favorite, who I picked on top and you have second, Gandy Dancing, he's going to be sitting outside of him. He's not going to be compromised by the speed at all. And look at who he ran fourth to last time compared to motion to strike.
Yeah.
And it's like a horse that's dropping literally out of a grade 1 or grade 2 race and running an allowance race. It's just a completely different world of horses. And I understand Gandy Dancing's 8-5, and you don't need me to sit up here on my soapbox and tell you why he's going to win. But I just think he's been in good form. Rob Atch's horses are running off the screen, and he's just way the horse to beat, and I'm not trying to beat him.
Yeah, this was another race where to me it was kind of, I thought if double shot.
He's just so slow.
He's right, and he's just
slow early when I say he has no speed.
Right, he's so pace dependent. But if you feel like motion to strike could have Caltech could put a little pressure on him, and he's just going to come back. No, I know, but if the pace comes back, if he comes back a little bit. Right, he's coming out of the same race as Gandy Dancing. Gandy Dancing only beat him a couple of lengths last time.
Yeah, but Gandy Dancing at least did a little running in there. Gandy Dancing actually tried to win the race. He actually made a move at the half mile. Well, Gandy Dancing did 1,000 times more running than he did, and now Gandy Dancing is going to be. Listen, we're talking the difference, but I think at 8-5 and 5-2, Gandy Dancing is 1,000 times more likely to win this race.
Okay.
He did running in that race. Double Shot never did a stitch of running.
No, he didn't get off that. He didn't get off that well, but it doesn't matter with him because he's going to be where he was anyway.
He just didn't do any running at any point in there. At least not impossible. I'm not.
It's funny that Saratoga race at the end of the meet when they actually kept him a little closer. He actually fired a good shot. It was one of his better races in a while. And
that field was atrocious. That was.
It was atrocious, but at the very least, he was.
Because there was no pace in there, they put him closer. I don't like this horse. I just don't. And I think if they take him out of his running style, I don't see him beating Gandy Dancing.
Okay.
Like I said, I got him third. I'm not. I just think the four is a much more likely winner. He's just more tactical. As far as first deputy, I'll show the race against Alcatac last time. No lost. People can say, well, Lita Shimongal. Well, Lita Shimongal, she doesn't run a lot of horses. She runs horses they run.
They all run.
Not every time, but she's got plenty of horses that done running, and I don't think this horse ran badly at all last time. I thought speed dominated the card that day. This horse was controlling basically for most of the race, the winner, and First Deputy actually did some running to almost catch him in there. And I know he's cheaper, and I don't love him in here, but I'm not letting Leah Shimongal beat me in these spots totally. I think she's a little bit interesting.
Absolutely not.
All right, race number 4 kicks off the Pick 5 carryover, $189,195. It's actually the second most exciting thing that happened today in the studio. The most exciting thing is, I don't know. The most exciting thing is that Kyle's back.
That's number one. I was going to say it's third.
We hate to interrupt you. We know you're busy over there. And the studio has been cleaned.
During the break, I actually listened to Kyle's radio show.
You have a radio show, Kyle?
Kyle is on Tuesday nights from 10 to 12 on
our cameraman, Kyle.
BAI 99.5 on your FM dial.
You're on WBAI? My sister is a huge fan of WBAI.
Tuesdays between
really?
10 p.m. and midnight. Yes, I listen to the Shaka Kanika show, where it was all
95.5 Tuesdays, 10 to midnight?
10 to midnight. My man. I listened to him on the 20th, I guess.
I got to listen.
Fun show.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fun
How
show.
come you've never told us this and you've never shared that with me? I thought we were friends. All right, race 4. We got to pick 5 carryover. We got to get to that as much as we love Kyle. There are races in this sequence that are tricky. And this is a tricky one.
Yes.
Because there's absolutely no form. And
Positive form.
The adage, bad horses win bad races, comes into play. And I don't really think, no matter how bad anybody looks in this race, that you can say, oh, I'd be absolutely shocked if that horse won.
Not a horse.
So you start out with the horse who's favored in here, in the number 10, Second Reed. And I mean, I'm going to start out and say this. Charlie's Medal, because I showed a replay, because I love going to Penn National, has the best performance of anybody as far as almost winning a race. And this horse won't take any money in here at all, and none of us are going to like this horse.
I have the horse 4th.
I just don't think he's a horse I want to bet in New York at all.
I don't.
But he
I
just
don't
seems
know
like
if I disagree, but there are so many question marks in here that at the very least,
nobody in here is going to be a surprise. And
Right.
Second and Reed, at least with him, he's run against better horses. He gets Lasix for the first time, and that's the 10 Second and Reed. But he hasn't done any running either.
no. He gets Lasix for the first time, like you said, but has he done much running? You know, he had, and maybe it's not important, but he has a race in a sloppy track. It was clearly his worst race, but it was his debut, and he took some money that day. Listen, you're not going to let him beat you, but are you going to rush to your Naira Bets account and bet him at 3-1 in the win pool? That sounds ridiculous to even say.
I think that the conversation in this race is about who do you have to have on your tickets in the pick 5. Not
Okay.
who we're betting in the win pool. It's not really and he has to be on your tickets, in my opinion. And I think the horse we have on top has to be on your tickets as well. I'll let you talk about him.
Yeah, you know, this horse had a little trouble at the break, wound up getting into a little position. It was a race that
Let
was
me just
won.
expand on that. The trouble. He came in, he caused his own trouble. But in doing so, he slammed into the number 3 inside of him and did legitimately slam into him. Go ahead.
Wound up chasing the winner, the eventual winner, and got tired. Look, he goes from a jockey I've never heard from to Jose Gomez, who all of a sudden has found his form.
Well, he had a good week, and I hope that Jose continues to ride aggressively and gets back to that good
I would
form.
imagine with
He's
this
been
horse's
slumping.
pedigree, a mile, he's going to be more suited to a mile. And, you know, you talked about running against better. I'm not going to say he ran against killers last time, but it was a race won by a first-time starter.
Who came back and didn't run a step in his next start.
Yeah, but he ran him high, didn't he, the
Who
other
came
day?
back and ran horrendously in his next start, and he comes out of a terrible field. So let's not pretend he's coming out of a better race than this.
I think the
10 is coming out of much better races than he's coming out.
The
Let's
10
just at least be
But
honest.
at the very least,
Don't need to pretend or
you
lie.
know, a lot of these horses have some question marks at the very least.
I get
Yeah.
it, and I picked him. I think he's supposed to be the speed in here, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that Gomez is supposed to be aggressive and put him in
Well,
front.
I'm worried about the 7 getting in front of him, but you might be right.
Okay, he's supposed to be faster than that horse,
Yeah.
and I do think it's a good rider change, and I don't think that rider rode him as well as a horse could be ridden. He sort of dropped him down to the rail. He didn't look good on the horse. I don't know. I don't trust him. You're right, his pedigree says he wants to go longer, but he didn't run like he wants to go longer. But I think he's supposed to be in front in here, and I want to give him a pass. He had that start last time, and I think with a positive rider change. And I agree, the 7 can be forwarded here. Gomez is supposed to seize the bull by the horns
Absolutely.
here and supposed to go. I think the 5 is very dangerous in here. And when you pick the 6, I considered sort of swapping them around and putting the 5 on top as the other alternative. I don't know exactly what was going on with Vargas on this horse. He was climbing badly early in the race. He really didn't do a lot of running. But I got a feeling, I hate this Lasix, blinkers on, all those changes. This horse is probably a little bit better than the race that he ran. Whether or not that means he's good enough to win here, I don't know. But I think he's going to run a lot better in this race. And I see that Ray is riding Maddie Oliver a lot, and she's ridden okay. So I don't know. I thought he was interesting. But
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you have the 2 third. I have the horse 4th.
This horse might not be able to run 2 steps, but
This
it's
horse-
gelding, it's Lasix.
This horse is
Horrendous, yeah. I wouldn't look too much.
horrifically bad.
I wouldn't look too
horse.
much into the trainer change. I don't think Barclay Tech leaves anything up here. This horse is New York bred, not going to take this horse to Florida. So Bruce Levine has the horse now. One of 2 in here for Bruce. He also has the 3 Metamorphosis, who's another gelding.
They pay $300,000, source a half to Cinco Charlie, an Accelerate. I wonder how many Accelerates went for more than $300,000 in New York bred last year.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's a total fuzzy,
Cinco
and I've got him in
Did
there.
he win
Well,
the Peter Pan or did he get beat the photo? It was Stanley Huff, right? Mm-hmm. And Rajiv,
I think he won.
if you want it.
No. Did he run against Mark Valesky?
No, you know who I think he ran against? The Windstar horse.
I'll look it up. Alternation was
he got
Pin
hurt.
Oak. Wasn't Alternation Pin Oak?
Was Alternation Pin Oak? Maybe I thought maybe it was Pin Oak.
I
Maybe
thought he
ran
was
against-
Pin. It was a Midwest Pin Oak.
Yeah, I think that's who he
That
ran
could be. You
against.
could be right about that. That's pretty good. It's a
Yeah.
pretty good one to come up with. Anyway, listen. You want to go crazy in this race and use horses? Nothing's going to surprise
Right.
me. It is not an easy race to start it out because you can sift through all you want. There's nothing that sticks.
There's not much pedigree with the firster. Danny's a cowboy.
She doesn't win with firsters.
She doesn't win with firsters.
3 for 26, maiden claiming first-time stars. But hey, in this
But-
race, you're going to leave the horse out? I
Right.
agree. I don't want the horse, but it's got to be a C somewhere on your tickets. I agree. And, you know, obviously Michelle does a good job, and she's found the right field. It's sort of like you look at Basic Truth, lost to Lars. It's David Jacobson. He doesn't win with firsters either. But if you find the right field,
You're going to win.
win with anybody. That's the start of the late pick 5. Got a $189,000, $195 carryover. We'll be back with the 5th race after a quick break, and we'll try to figure out that Peter Pan.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Okay, so Adios Charlie was the Stanley Huff horse. Cinco Charlie lost the Woody Stevens by a nose to March.
Bob LaPenta?
Yeah, LaPenta was, yeah, he had won the Bayshore. Chad trained him. He got unlucky in the Hollywood Turf, in the Hollywood Derby later in the year, and Steve Asmussen trained him, and that was I think the favorite. Who was the favorite in that? Woody Stevens was Competitive Edge. I don't think got out of the gate. Race number 5, we'll start out by looking at total impacts last race and showing you a Linda Rice stat. And he's absolutely the horse to beat, and a horse I think a lot of people will probably lean on it here. He's in very good form, and he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, he's my single on the ticket. The ticket costs $72. I try to keep them a little lower when I post them, but with the carryover, I would imagine the pool's going to be big enough to promote a ticket that size. I try not to do that. This horse last time, stretching back out around the 2 turns, and he's certainly a horse, I think, if you look, he's won his last 4 dirt races around 2 turns. He just appreciates the added distance. I don't think this extra 16th of a
Well, I
mile
don't think
is
he
going
runs
to
a
be
lot.
a
I think
problem.
he's just a good router. I mean, just good form. It's a good form. Linda Rice, second off a claim, off a win in dirt route. She's got good numbers coming back. There's no reason not to believe they'll run well. I think that the horse that I picked will be a clear-cut second choice in here. I understand that some people think that Gasoline is the speed, and maybe he will be the speed.
Yeah,
And
he's
he
hard
didn't
to-
get
he's
the
hard
lead
to
last
trust,
time.
isn't he?
I don't like this horse. I think he's. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm
like this
third.
horse.
We
I
both
don't like
have
this
him
horse.
third, yeah.
I don't like this horse. I like Anejo. And I'd like to see Jose be aggressive for position. We're going to show Anejo's race at Keeneland. He's the number 11 in here. This was his last dirt race. He doesn't break, okay? And he's already behind the 8 ball because he didn't break. And he's out in no man's land. And this is his race 2 back after his win here when he came up the inside. And you see where he is. I mean, he is out in the middle of absolutely nowhere here. And you can just figure Joe L's going, I'm screwed. So I'm so screwed here that I'm going to just do something. Because if I lollygag back here, nothing good's going to happen. And he makes this, and he's a legitimate 5 wide the whole turn, basically. And he's 4 wide to the second turn. And I mean, this horse goes from last to first. And this is a race that fell apart in the late stages. One of the horses that was forward did okay in here, but for the most part, this race just collapses. So now we're sort of halfway through the race, and Joel has sort of inched his way up, but he's going to rush him up even more, going a mile and an eighth, and you see those fractions that look slow. Well, there was a very slow race, so it was obviously a slow racetrack because the final figure in this race was fairly strong in the 90s, and he makes this run the lead. This horse will actually have the lead as they basically head into the stretch. After blowing the brake, being wide, I don't want to use the term rushing up, but Joel Rosario is not usually a guy that makes a middle move to make the lead in a two-turn race at the 3/8 pole. I think, in fact, this is the only time I've ever seen it happen. This horse is in front. He's in front, this horse. Now, anybody thinks, well, he could have won from here. No, you can't win with those
He's
trips.
Superman if he wins from there.
And I thought this was a miraculous performance by a horse that's won at a mile and an eighth. In fact, when he won a mile and an eighth, he was on top of the pace the whole way, as Anthony well remembers, because he bet him and liked him that day. This horse had just a ridiculous trip. And then, for some unknown reason, they decided that his first synthetic race wasn't bad enough. We'll run him in synthetic again instead of shipping him back to New York, where he's had all of his success.
What a weird move, right?
And
that race last time was such a puzzling. Why would you run him back after
you
his
got
first
me,
poly
buddy.
race?
I don't get it at all. But now he's running where he belongs, and I think he's a massive threat and will be and should be the second choice in this race. Somebody else wins this race, I'm going to lose. I think it is a two-horse race between the 1 and 7.
Okay.
Race number 6. Race number 6, to me, is an easily solvable problem. I don't like Simply. Will I fall out of my chair if he wins? No. I think that is a phony.
You never liked this horse. You used to get on me for picking him on the turf when Asmussen had him. You remember this horse?
What's funny is his best races in the turf were sprints. And Rick got him, and he did okay in a turf route, and then he kept him running long. I still think he would run better short. I'd love to see them cut him back. And I know he ran okay at a mile and 8, 2 back. I know he did, but we'll show the last race.
How about back-to-back two-turn races here? 3 two-turn races on the card today.
Yeah. We'll show his last race where, you know, he actually made the first move in there, and wider is the move that Mason Mania made, and Mason Mania got absolutely buried. And listen, I know they ran fast. I don't have a problem with the figure. I think the figure's right. I'm skeptical of him running again. And the problem that I have is I have been waiting a long time, and we're not going to show it. It's not worth it. We're going to eventually show it. Actually show it. Can we switch to the next 2 videos, guys? Thank you. Appreciate it. I've been waiting for Ouster to get back on the dirt.
Okay.
Now, I don't think he's a mile and 1/8 horse. I know he got longer on the turf, but I think on the dirt he's probably a 6-7 furlong horse. This horse is going to make the entry 7-5, and Ouster's going to make sure they're even money. But Ouster would be 4-1 on his own, if not more, and I want Ouster. And Ouster's last dirt race, which we'll show, was against better horses. I didn't realize that Asymmetric hasn't run back since this race.
Nope.
This race basically collapsed, and Johnny just got unlucky here. Johnny's in the 2 path. He's in the green silks outside of the horse in the rail. It's probably the 1, I can't really tell from here. And he is going to end up getting completely backed up as they go around the turn, and he gets completely backed up in the field, and then when he finally extracts himself, he has some real run, and he has that run having been right on top of the pace. It's not like he was sitting way back and making a run. And he hasn't gotten shuffled yet. He got shuffled a little bit there, but this is nothing compared to what's going to happen in here. And I have been waiting for Ouster to get back on the dirt. Now, Mark wasn't wrong because he did fine in the turf, but I still think that he's a better dirt horse. I don't think he's a mile and 1/8 horse, and it doesn't make any difference because he's an entry with a horse that's going to be even money that I want to bet against in this race. So if Ouster wins, I'm just going to roll my eyes and say, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Right, yeah.
And it's not like I need the money. Now, this is right in here. That horse in pink has shuffled him out of the race, and he's going to keep getting shuffled and keep getting shuffled and keep getting shuffled, and the race is completely developed in front of him, and he's had nowhere to go, and he's going to eventually get out, and he's going to start running by horses and run a little bit at the end. I just don't know if this horse wants to go a mile and 1/8 in the dirt.
He's 7th at one point, and then he's able to pass 3 rivals.
Well, he 8th. I mean, he just lost
on,
every chance he possibly could have. He only lost by 4 lengths.
Yeah.
He could have been much, much closer. And that was that run that Mark was having. The problem is, I don't know, is he really going to be a mile and 1/8 third horse?
No, I don't know.
I don't believe it. It doesn't matter.
And you're right, you're going to find out
I
at
hope
4
he's
to
not.
5.
I hope he's not. Because I can't believe he's going to get stuck with this horse again. I think he'll get buried in here. I hope he does. I mean, I hate to say that. I'm not so sorry, Mark. From my perspective, because I can't bet him, and I hate entries. And
I took a shot against the entry too.
it's not Mark's fault. He doesn't train simply.
No, I'm hoping Mason Mania could just lead these on a merry chase. He's supposed to be the speed from the inside.
Royal Suspects, the speed. Yeah. How he's going to battle
He'll
out.
be in front of Royal. I mean, I think he'll be in front of Royal Suspect if Jose rides. If Jose's aggressive from the rail,
But let me
he'll
ask
be
you
in
a
front of
question.
Royal Suspect.
He didn't have speed a mile last time, okay? He's only run at Penn
Well,
National, and he lost by
had a
7
weird-
lengths.
He had a weird break last time. He kind of like, I don't know if the plan was to be more forward. I just didn't love.
He
the
didn't
way.
have a rough break-in. He
No,
had a rough
I
start.
said weird.
Maybe a length and a half.
He had a weird start last time, and I think now going the 2 turns, drawing the rail, he's supposed to just put him in front.
Well, he ran well at Penn National. That form never holds up here. But, okay, I didn't get him. I got him third by default because I didn't see anybody else.
I mean, maybe you're right about Royal Suspect, but I mean, I would imagine Jose, if you're going to try and beat this entry at 3 to 5, you're just going to try and get in front of him.
Okay.
You have a lot more speed than both.
I don't think he'll win in front either, but okay, good luck.
I'm using those 3 horses, and you talk about your horse.
I don't like Son of an Angel. I don't like Rhea's Angel. I know she won last time. She beat BC Glory Days. It was a runoff in that race. We can show the last race if you want, guys. I don't know. I just picked it up for videos here.
She kind of inherited this win, right?
She did, but he. I
rather.
didn't want to say it's she because it's Rhea, but it's an odd name for a horse. It's a male, but I'm sure there's a story.
I mean, this horse is the thing on the horse on the front end. Obviously, you see this horse falling apart after running off the
But
first.
you've got
5/8 of
Linda
a
with a
mile.
horse coming off a win.
Yeah.
Second off a same. We saw that stat before with the total horse in the last race, and this horse is the same stat, and she wins in these situations. So I won't be shocked. I like Son of an X in this race. I'm not thrilled with the rider choice. Is it still Martinez? It's an
I didn't have a
odd
rider
choice,
change.
but he does seem to use odd riders. The reality is Randy Persaud's horses have been running out of their skin for the last month, and I don't think this horse needs to. This horse has got plenty of good races.
Yeah.
He has no problem with distance. I thought he ran fine against a better field, coming off a 6-month layoff last time out. I just think he makes a ton of sense in a race where I don't trust these horses to get a mile and 1/8, and I think that the 1 is going to be massively overbetting here. And one thing I know about Son of an X, he's going to have no problem getting a
He
mile
was
and 1/8.
entered for 16,000 a week before he ran, 10 days before he ran. Scratched, obviously.
I was going to claim him that day.
to run in a ridiculously. I mean, this is.
But he ran fine. He's got races
Yeah.
that fit in here, and I thought he is the right alternative in
I'm
this
using
race.
all
It's
3
funny
of them.
because I texted David Aragona because he was on vacation and he hadn't looked at the races, and I finished doing these races on like Sunday and or Saturday night mostly, and I said, you and I are going to like the same horse in a race on Thursday, and I'm not going to tell you who, and you can come back to me. And I didn't even tell him what race. And he came back to me and he said to me, yeah, we're both going to like Short Summer Dress in the 7th race. And I said, no, I actually didn't really like her. She's not impossible, but no. I said, I assumed you would think it was Son of an X. He said, oh yeah, I picked him too. So it's just a horse, I think, in this race because the entry is, in my opinion, has to be bet against. I didn't get your 2, but okay. See how it works out. Race number 7. Race number 7. So Fuente came out and ran the other day, and I guess Dave Grenick had written that she was going to come out. Piece of My Heart is probably going to be the favorite here.
Can't do it anymore, right? I mean, how many times are you going to pick this?
She's a horse that has to be somewhere in your pick 5s.
Yep.
Because she arguably is the horse to beat in here because she has the fastest races, and she was compromised in here by the lack of pace.
She has not won in 2 years.
Do you know her last win?
No.
Her last win was May 1st, 2020, during the pandemic at Oaklawn Park. And I believe all of her wins, in fact, are at Oaklawn Park.
Wow.
And she is a phony. She's fast enough to win races she's in, and she looks like she ran well enough to win, but what she does is just enough running at the end of a race to make it look like she ran well. And she doesn't win. Having said that,
She can win.
I'm no big fan of the horse we'll show here, Secret Love, who I know she ran a good figure last time out, but it's unless you just think she's suddenly improved, I think she's a bit of a phony herself, and she could win here. I don't really want either one of these horses, and it's why I made the picks I did, and I think of the 2, Piece of My Heart's a better horse. Who'd you pick here?
Yeah, I picked Easy to Bless. I went a little. I wanted a little bit of a fuzzy
Well, we'll
too.
get there in a minute.
Yeah. I agree. I don't really
I'm not
want
a big
Secret
fan of
Love.
this horse.
I don't really want Secret Love either. I mean, she got a great setup last time, and she was life to get death to get by the get by Snicket.
I don't disagree. She can win. They
Yeah.
can all win. Listen, this is a very tricky pick 5 sequence because you have to make some choices here. I would prefer the 7. She'll be higher on my
too.
tickets than the 1 will be, Secret Love. Okay, what do we like about Easy to Bless?
So Easy to Bless went to the bench on a decent little run. I mean, they obviously ran overhead in the Bed of Roses. They ran overhead in the Distaff. But when she was in these allowance rags and starter races, she was very competitive last year, this time, especially this time of year. She goes to the bench off the Bed of Roses flop. Obviously, something was wrong. She misses 6 months. She comes back going the 7/8. I don't think she ran that badly. Excuse me. I don't think she ran that poorly last time. Now she has the race under her belt. She's back in almost a month. I know she's run similar figs, but she is one that does.
She's run races that are fast
Yeah.
enough to win here. She's not impossible. I'm not.
And you know, with Fouette coming out, you have Thistlefield, the number 3,
Well, she has to go to lead.
who's going to be in front. And I would imagine this filly now, Mare, I would imagine Jackie's not going to be too far behind. The pace changes.
She
a
should
little
be
bit
sitting
here.
second or third
Yeah.
with Secret Love behind the 3.
She's also run, and she's run similar figs on fast tracks, but she's run some real good
She's run
races
fine
on
in
wet
wet
tracks.
tracks. No,
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. No,
So obviously, I didn't think it was going to be as wet as it is today.
no,
but
she makes sense. I'm not.
she's 6-1 morning line. I mean, I don't know. Fouette was 7-2, I believe.
She's 9-2.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I think I picked her 4th or 5th or something. I'm not. Yeah, you make a valid case for it. There's an argument for her. Listen, especially if you feel like the 1 and 7 are weak, then there
It
is.
sounds like we both do. I mean, we both have the 7-2, but
They can
for a
win,
filly that
but
hasn't won in
not a
31 months.
Listen, my case for Corey, and Corey doesn't even have his races as fast as your horse does, is she had no chance in the pumpkin pie. Those horses are just significantly better. And I think she actually ran okay in those races in Florida. I thought she made middle moves in races that ultimately collapsed. And I actually think 2 and 3 back, she ran fine in those races going 7 furlongs. So I just think she made moves the wrong time. Now, I don't trust Peter Walder. He's a trainer who had no wins here for a long time or very little. He had some success here in the spring last year and then nominal success since then. I think he won a couple in Saratoga. But on the other hand, at least he's won a few races here, and she has faced some better horses in her day, and I think her races are better than they look on paper. She's going to have to improve. At least your horse has fast race to get back to. She's sort of in that rough area, but I thought she had enough excuses, and that's why I made a case for her. The argument for short summer dress is that one fast race for Robertino Diodoro up in Saratoga, when she ran so well. The problem is she hasn't run well since, though she didn't get the best of trips in her last race either, a race she finished ahead of your horse. I mean, the 2, the 4, the 6, they're the alternatives because it's hard to make a case for the 3 unless you want to get her to wire the field, but she just doesn't look good enough in any respect to do it.
Too slow.
We'll see what happens. You've come up with the 2, I've come up with the 4. We'll see what plays out in race number 7. And I think it highlights the difficulty of this pick 5 because the other thing is you then get to the 8th race.
Well, the first and second, I mean, the first and the last legs are, you don't want to say impossible, but I mean, they're
Impossible.
absolute
I mean,
crapshoots.
Chiara may win. We'll look at Chiara's last race,
Yeah.
and the reality is that she improved a lot off her early dirt races. Well, maybe this is a better indication of the horse that she is. I mean, she lost to Big Bean Christine, who came back and won her next start.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can say, well, Big Bean Christine would be 2 to 5 in this race.
She would.
She was single in everybody's tickets in there, and she didn't run badly behind her. And maybe this is the new horse, and maybe you just disregard the earlier dirt races, and she's way the horse to beat
Sounds
here.
ridiculous to say. She's the most likely winner of
Oh,
this
by
race.
far. It's
By
not
far.
ridiculous to say. She's absolutely the most likely winner of this race. Much more likely than Banana Fanafoe, who's going to take money, but she's had a million chances. And the thing of Chiara is she's only been on the dirt 4 times, and this is the mistake when that horse won Ricolette, whatever that horse that I like, paid crazy price, like $13 or $15. Rosselli. That horse should have paid $7. That wasn't a good pick. That was a horse that just paid too big a price because connections. Because that horse had only run 4 times already on the dirt. And like this horse, the last race was far and away the best race.
Did we coin this the Richard Legal carryover? Because he should.
Richard E. Is it Legal or legal?
I think it's Legal.
Legal.
It's 2 L's at the end of it.
Richard E. I just don't you want it to be because it's E, legal. Yeah, no, he won 2 races. I think it's more than he won in the whole.
He won 2.
2022.
He won 2 in 2022 and 2 in 2023.
on January 21st of January. So you've taken the logical alternative, who I was going to pick, but you've got the 5 on top, who just ran against significantly better horses in the one dirt race a long, long time ago.
Yeah. What else are you supposed to? You almost look.
I don't know if the horse can run at all. But
Right.
I
Horse
agree.
might not be able to run 2 steps.
Dan
but-
was okay.
Yep. I'll take my chances. I
I got the horse second. I was going to put it on top. I don't put the same horse as you in this race. So I moved Franny Lou onto top. Would you like this horse? And Franny Lou, Franny Lou, I'm not sure how much she can run, but she was close enough early. Came in a little bit at the start. There really wasn't any real contact. I don't know. That brush, I guess they're saying brush. I think it's BS. I think most of this horse really had none. I think they're looking for trouble was. Kind of eased up in the late stage. It was really eased up badly in the late stages. Not as bad as it looks. Second time starter for Dave Donk. I'm just looking for a horse that's lightly raced. The 3 and 5 are the 2 right alternatives. The 8 and 9. I would probably be mostly 3, 5, 9 in here, with the 8 as a C type, because of the horses that are logical, I think the 9 is much more logical than the 8.
Yeah. The horse would, at a little bit of a price for me, would be the 6, Walsall. First time Lasix, second off of a 2-year layoff. I'm sorry, a 15-month layoff.
The thing is, when they take money, Chris, they usually run a little bit.
Yeah.
They're supposed to do any running.
I know, but
It's a war dancer.
I want to give this horse one more. This horse is going to be a giant price. This is the horse I want to
fine.
throw in on the ticket at a price.
War dancers are tough. I'm trying to look through this. What time is it here? We're going to have to go. I will be back to talk about the first race, and then back for the third race after that. Between races, Maggie not here. Maggie's back on Saturday, she told me.
Pick 5 ticket will be up over at Naira Bets. We'll send a little video out soon as well.
All right. The Pick 5, the story of today, you can play it through Naira Bets. Head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, no better time than the present to become a member. Use the promo code MATCH200, and we will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Pick 5 carryover starts in race 4 today of our 8-race card, $189,195. You definitely have to get involved at some level, even if it's a $24 ticket or $36 ticket, something so that if you're particularly smart in this sequence, because you rate to get paid. I mean, this thing chalks out. It's bobbing and weaving and dodging a lot of very, very difficult races.
Namely the first and last legs of the
10
sequence.
times points over at Dubai on tomorrow morning. And that's it. We have no show. Show will be tomorrow, of course, Fridays through Sundays. From Anthony and I, have a great day. Good luck in the Pick 5. Chris Griffin up next with a reprise of Scratches and Changes.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. The track is sloppy. Here are today's